materials, and the rest of it, our students will ask or demand for some kind of discussions with question and answer. Okay, that's what I can say for this part. And Miss Anne, please, you can give the seminar for us. Thank you.
Can all of you see the screen?
Yes, it's all clear.
Start. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all my fellow students. I am Jayaselvi, D.Devasagayam, and I'm an academic lecturer in Institute Pendidikan Guru Campus Bahasa Antarabangsa, which is situated in the heart of Kuala Lumpur. My presentation is all about visual literature and critical thinking. Visual literature and critical thinking come hand in hand, especially in the 21st century learning. And we see how the power of images are used to portray dominant ways of seeing the world. I strongly feel that it is crucial in bridging students' thoughtful engagement with images. Now, before I go in depth here, I will place my presentation into 4 segments. The first, visual literature and visual literacy. The second segment will be multi-dimension and multi-modality. The third segment is critical thinking and lit circle or literature circle. And the last segment is impact to teaching and learning. Here, I relate my presentation to our 5 sensory organs. Much of the information comes through our sensory organs, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Specialized cells and tissues within these organs receive raw stimuli and translate them into signals the nervous system can use. It is only apt that I start with a quote that will tie up to my points. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then the imagination is worth 1,000 pictures. This visual interpretation will surely give birth to inspiration, and inspiration transforms us from creative readers to creative thinkers and writers. Literature influences as it makes us understand every walk of life. Narratives in particular inspire empathy and give people a new perspective on their lives and the lives of others. I believe that life is manifested in the form of literature. Without literature, life ceases to exist. It is an embodiment of words based on human tragedies, desires, and feelings. It cultivates wonders, inspires a generation, and feeds information. Now, we can create fruitful discussions in a literature classroom using still pictures or images. These pictures can strengthen students' memory of the to-be-learned lessons. Now, let's look at slide 4. Although pictures are open to interpretation, here we see friendly local kids in Gurusina village in Flores, Indonesia, smiling although they're engulfed in poverty. And in the next picture, we see Nurlena cries in the back of the family car after losing the contest for Carnival Princess at her school. She spent the whole day getting ready with a new white dress and new shoes. The winner was decided based on whose parents bought the most tickets, and Nurlena's family could only afford $8 worth. And of course, the Afghan girl, a picture shot by National Geographic photographer Steve Mercury. Shabat Gula was one of the students in an informal school within the refugee camp. Mercury rarely given the opportunity to photograph Afghan women, seized the opportunity and captured her image. She was approximately 12 years old at the time, and she made it on the cover of National Geographic the following year, and her identity was only identified in 1992. Now, these three slides are open to interpretation, and a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that is the motto of a photojournalist. And it is their objective to produce direct, truthful, and bold images that tell the stories for those who have no voice. Now, depending on the theme that you want to explore in a classroom, pictures and images create a direct sensory connection that results in new levels of interest and attention. It will surely create students with higher level of visual literacy. In today's society, where just about every technological device can take pictures, we are inundated with photographs. Most of the time, people are just trying to capture an event as it happens, or preserve a beautiful scene without any deeper meaning. I'm sure you can relate and probably have a ton of pictures on your phone or computer that were taken in just that manner. However, this also means that many of us don't think about the different ways that skilled photographers tell a deeper story with their images. Subconsciously, we may understand parts of what they're trying to say, but without being able to read the image, we can often be manipulated to believe the story we are seeing is absolute truth. Let me define what visual literature is all about. Visual literature are books, posters, websites, textbooks, picture books, art, advertisements, comic strips, animations, graphic novels, film clips, and other media that merge literary topics with an enhanced visual environment. Now let's look at this slide. Whimsy and charm make children's book covers irresistible. It probably goes without saying that this will depend on the illustrations inside a children's book. Ada is an example of a visual literature in print that I would like to highlight. This is a book about a young immigrant girl who doesn't know how to fit in at a new school. Hip Fleming, who came up with the illustration, wanted the image to reflect the girl's young mind grappling with the difficulties of living in a new world. She isolated an image of the main character from one of the internal illustrations and added in a distressed background created with repeated scribbles, where you can find scribbles all over her at the back, right? Now, the comic strip here too provide a creative way to acknowledge the current issue relating to the COVID pandemic while voicing out opinions. Now, it definitely entertains us as readers and keeps us up to date with the news. Here we see the comparison of opinions between a father and son. The son is lamenting that he is not able to see his classmates go to a movie theater and pizza parlor. And the father is proving a point that Anne Frank and her family spent 2 years in an attic. As we know, Anne Frank and her family had been hiding from the Nazis for 2 years in the secret annex of her father's business premises at Prison-Crat 263. In a final entry, Anne Frank wrote of how others perceive her, describing herself as a bundle of contradictions. She wrote, "As I've told you many times, I'm split into two. One side contains my exuberant cheerfulness, my flippancy, my joy in life, and above all, my ability to appreciate the lighter side of things." Well, in other words, visual literature is a lovely platform for the outbursts of opinions relating to every issue at hand, and it's up to the teacher to be creative in execution. Now, whereas visual literacy is the ability to critically analyze the form and content of visual materials. It is also the ability to understand how powerful images are created and the ways in which form and content are used to evoke a specific response from the viewer are key skills in visual literacy. Here we see how a visually enhanced classroom is elevated to a higher level. Now, a visually enhanced classroom uses mind maps and graphic organizers. A visually enhanced classroom uses visuals, images, and other media to teach concepts. A visually enhanced classroom uses sketch notes. A visually enhanced classroom encourages learners to show what they know through visual imagery. And a visually enhanced classroom uses visual literacy instruction. Here we move on to multi-dimensional approach in visual literature. Now, the multi-dimensional approach involves the approach of the cognitive, emotional, and social dimensions to learning, which are considered by Ilaris in 2002. The three dimensions of learning is the contemporary learning theory in the tension field between the cognitive, the emotional, and the social. Describing something as multi-dimensional implies that it's complex. You could talk about a multi-dimensional book filled with intricate themes, characters, plots, and symbols. Or you can even call a person multi-dimensional if she had a particularly complicated personality. The word dimension forms the root of multi-dimensional. So, if you imagine many dimensions, you will have a clear idea of what the word means. Likewise, this image shows a skull from a perspective that is dark and weary. But when you look at it from a different angle, it shows a girl sitting under a tree, picking the juicy fruits that have fallen down. Now, let me start by giving you 5 modes of communication. These 5 modes, linguistic or alphabetic, visual, oral, gestural, and spatial, will be the base of the discussion here. Linguistic or alphabetic is written and spoken words. Visual are images which are moving or still. Oral will be sound or music. And gestural will be movement when it comes to expression or body language. And spatial will be position, physical arrangement, or proximity. Now, multimodal literature incorporates a large variety of audio, visual, and other symbolic representations. A multimodal text is often a digital text, but can be a book, such as picture book, information text, or graphic novel. What is the importance of multimodal literacy? Now, supporting multimodal literacy is an important aspect of education today, as it encourages students to understand the way media shapes their world. Most, if not all, texts today can be considered multimodal texts, as they combine modes such as visuals, audio, and alphabetic or linguistic text. Now, what is a multimodal story? It is a teaching strategy that mixes storytelling and multimodality. It relies on different ways to present a story by integrating modes such as gestures, audio, videos, images, labels, words, textures, or smells to create meaning, in this case, the story. Now let's watch this. So Boomerang is a video app that tells you that visual stories in a way that's slightly different from a regular video or still photo. Now, boomerangs look like something in between GIFs and stop motion videos, stitched together with a short burst of photos and combined into one fluid image. Instead of a still photo, using a boomerang would make any one story a bit more fun. I also like to think that the boomerang used would want to make the viewer click onto the next story to find out more, because they can only see the magazine open for a matter of seconds. Now, why multimodal story is appropriate to teaching children literature? Now, multimodal texts are capable of drawing on students' strengths and preparing them for a multimodal society where individuals communicate through audio, gestural, visual, spatial, and print resources, as well as various combinations of these modes. Now, multimodality. Multimodal learning benefits students because first, it engages all students in the learning process. Two, improves the quality of learning. Third, reflects the complexity of real-world interactions. Fourth, develops student skills in all modes. Fifth, expands the creativity of teachers and students. And finally, it maintains the novelty in the classroom. Now, you know the mantra, don't judge a book by its cover, but that's easier to say than do. Now, a book's cover is your not so secret weapon when it comes to sales and the reader's first impression of a book. Or as famed designer Paul Sarah once put it in an interview, that book also as one of the book's most important assets can have an enormous impact on sales. So you did it right. Now, this simple result and technical page for Alif Batman's The Idiot, a lone break or end mark of poetry, all we saw, which presents an outstretched hand, an image that at once imparts the book's theme of connection of universe. To surprise designer that this wonder is the centerpiece.